Welcome to The Tech Ranch, live and local here on Super Talk 1270. The latest gadgets, online security, websites and apps, social media, and so much more. How can technology help you? Let's find out. It's time for The Tech Ranch on Super Talk 1270.
From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So is Fargo the new Silicon Plains of the Midwest?
What?
I know. We have a couple guests in studio today that are going to probably tell us that they are. So going to be kind of exciting to talk to them. At the control panel, Mr. Producer Extraordinaire Jim Walsh. How you doing, man?
Good. I haven't seen the geezer this morning.
I don't understand. I thought he was sleeping outside on the corner of the building
that was
earlier.
him?
That was him,
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah. You
okay.
seen the hoodie up over the top. I think he upgraded to a hoodie, so
Yeah.
probably because it's getting a little cold.
Well, he had
outside,
one of those
so.
little plastic things that he kind of wrapped up and kept in his pocket.
Exactly. So
But people are going to be driving by and feeling sorry for him.
throw him a buck or two.
Yeah, he'll like that.
So how was your weekend?
Good.
Yeah? Do anything exciting?
I was in Jamestown over the weekend.
Really?
Jamestown, North Dakota.
Yeah? Visiting a little family over there?
Yeah, I got some family over there. My wife's son works in Jamestown.
Did you see the buffalo?
Not this trip.
You usually go over there?
We took it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've been there a bunch of times. That little western town they have over by the buffalo.
Yeah, and one of my projects is Talking Trail, by the way. Not that I'm going to brag about this a little bit, but we just launched the Jamestown Talking Trail on Thursday.
Right.
So there are about 70 talking points over there that you can go and,
Yeah.
and hear about Erstead and Hafner and why there's the world's largest buffalo sitting there. All cool stuff.
I want to get to Cooperstown, which is not that far away from there, right?
Yep, about an
because
hour
they have
north,
that missile base up there.
They
turned
do.
it into a museum. It's the Ronald Reagan Missile Silo, something or other.
It is still operational, the museum.
Oh, it still works?
I'm not sure.
They still have the missiles?
No, they don't have.
Oh, okay. When you say still operational,
I'm not
thinking,
sure if the museum is still going or not.
Be real careful about pushing any buttons
that's
while
true.
you're there.
Yes.
Oops.
We'll have to check into that because I'm not sure if it's still around. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, over to my right, everybody else is left, Mr. Greg Tehvan. He is the co-founder of Emergent Prairie out of Fargo, North Dakota. How you doing, Greg?
Hey, doing good. Thanks for having me, Marlo.
Hey, excited to have you
long-time
here.
listener.
Sure
Long
you
time
are.
caller, first time listener.
Yeah, but I think I have a crush on you. So.
Oh, whatever. Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks. Yeah, 50
Not that
Shades.
there's anything wrong with that.
50 Shades of Red already over here. So, anyway, so Greg is, like I said, the co-founder of Emerging Prairie, and they are significant in the startup culture growth over in Fargo. So that's kind of what we want to talk a little bit about. And so talk maybe about the vision of Emerging Prairie first, and then we'll get into why it's being dubbed the Silicon Plains of the Midwest.
Emerging Prairie started a few years ago by a group of friends. Andy Christensen from Arthur Ventures, Miguel Danielson of Danielson Legal, and Jake Jornstead of Myriad Mobile, and myself. And we wanted to create an online content platform to celebrate the great things in Fargo. A couple of us were from Fargo. We had lived in other places. And so we were going to start an online content publication. And the challenge with that is none of us could write. Or we're willing to. So
that
we
would be
had
a
4
challenge.
people excited. And so we wanted to tell the stories. And Emerging Prairie has evolved over the last 4 years, where we exist to connect and celebrate the entrepreneurial ecosystem. We do that through a series of events, having a co-working space, and now writing daily content. And it's been a fantastic adventure. I mean, Fargo's a really exciting place. When I say Fargo, I mean anybody that wants to come visit, anyone in a 45-mile radius. And there's a lot of energy.
There is a lot of energy in Fargo. As you know, I'm there all the time, and it's that energy that kind of pulls me over there. I love visiting with your startup culture, and you have great startups happening in Fargo. So, but before we get into that, I guess I really want to talk about the co-working space. And I hang out in a lot of co-working spaces across the country. I would say that the Prairie Den, in my opinion, is one of the top 2 that I've been in dozens of these. So you've done it right over there. But let's talk a little bit about how that plays into the startup community.
Well, thank you for the nice compliments, Marlo. I am handing you money under the table. So when
it's not enough. Keep it coming.
So the start of our co-working space comes back a couple of years ago. So Jim Garton, who runs the Greater Fargo Moorhead EDC, who had lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan, realized the power of a convenience space. And in conversations with some of our team at Emerging Prairie, they said, let's make this happen. And so we were lucky enough to have a serial entrepreneur named Jake who signed a lease without board approval, and so that forced us into Technique, and that began our journey. And one of the things that was really cool is the folks at Coco and the Twin Cities were willing to partner with us. They actually took on the idea to own and operate the lease, and for whatever reason, it didn't catch. I don't know if it was the right vibe, the right time, the right kind of philosophy, but at the end of the day, it just didn't meet the needs of their team, and so they kind of packed up and left. And Emerging Prairie was left holding this lease, thanks to Jake. And we said, what could we do about it? We had a brand new teammate named Annie. And Annie came to us from Minnesota State University, Moorhead. And she worked in their student union. And she said, I think if we turn this more into a student union than a real estate play, kind of rejecting the idea that an incubator is a way to get things done, and kind of the idea that college campuses are experts in community. They have a student union for people to gather, to study, to work, to celebrate. And she said, let's apply that model. And that's what's happened. So we have over 100 members of our space. It was designed by our friends, the Misfits, out of New York City. And what ended up happening is there's beautiful energy. We've got a couple conference rooms. We've got 4 full-time teams. We got folks that visit from all across the country. And there's an energy. It's a place people want to be. We've had fantasy football drafts there. We've had bachelorette parties there, which I didn't get invited to. And folks come and use it. And we think that's special.
So tell me a little bit about the tech companies that you see starting to emerge from the co-working space.
You know, there's the Fargo Startup House, which is a place where entrepreneurs can live for free. They get world-class internet. They get some support, but they need a place to actually do their work. So they're over working at the Prairie. And one of those folks is Matthew Sullivan and his team at Jumper. Jumper is kind of like an Uber model for ride sharing, where college kids can post, I'm driving to Minneapolis for a concert. And someone can say, hey, I want to go. I'll pay you $10 for that seat. And so there's a transfer there. So that's emerging there. We're watching creatives work. Our friends at Tellwell, which is a social media design agency type company, are now spinning out a product. And that gets me excited. And so why does it happen? I'm not sure. I think when people are spending time together, they're sharing ideas. I think there's an energy, there's a spirit, and it's a place people come and they're accepted. There's not anyone saying, oh, you got here at 11 a.m. Where were you this morning, right? That judgment is kind of set aside. And so I think it's that collaboration. So Jumper is being built there. The new product is being built there out of Tellwell. And there's things that are being built there that I don't even know. We got high school kids that use the space to build a social media app. Our friend Samuel from South Sudan just joined and not sure what he's working on. But I think it's good.
Well, I think it's all about networking and that type of thing there too. So after the break, we'll continue our conversation with Greg Tehvan. So come on back.
Right now, 63.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank all the followers, listeners that follow us. That makes a lot of sense there, Jim. Yeah. Blueberry Network. Thanks to everybody on the Blueberry Network. We're on the Roku. We're on the Tech Podcast Network. We are on Apple TV, tuned in, and of course our own app, Radio Pup.
We played a very cruel trick on the geezer this morning.
What'd you do?
We told him we wanted him to go out and thank each and every one of our listeners. Oh, he's out there.
He's back already, though. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pretty funny.
He's enjoying it, actually.
And of course, a couple housekeeping notes. We have some great shows lined up. Next week we have
Katie this hour, I know.
So we have Katie at half past the hour here.
Ms. Metaverse.
That's right. Ms. Metaverse will be joining us. We also have next week, we have the morning crew at the KX Networks will be here. So Amber Schultz and Jimmy Geffro.
Cool.
Will be
I know
here.
Jimmy. I went to school with Jimmy.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, I'm old enough to be his father, but yeah, I did go to school with him.
That's cool.
Took a class with him.
That'll be cool. You guys will enjoy that. So then the following week, I'm at NASA. So we'll be broadcasting live from NASA. Hopefully we'll grab a couple astronauts.
No, you'll be broadcasting live from NASA. I'm going to be here.
I guess that is true. Somebody has to stay back here and do this stuff.
Somebody has to sit here and twiddle.
Yeah. But, it would be fun. You and I should actually do one of these road trips.
I would love to do that. Yes.
We'll have to figure that out. We'll have to find out somebody to replace your skill set here so that we can go do that.
Well, there's the problem. I'm irreplaceable. At least I think that's the word.
Boy, the room got quiet very quick when you said that, Jim. So.
I think that's the word they used. Of course, your ear or something.
Sitting to my right here, the co-founder of Emerging Prairie out of Fargo, North Dakota, Greg Tehvan. Glad to have you here, man.
Thank you.
All right, so we were just talking about co-working space and the energy that comes from them. So do you find that companies that are in the co-working space collaborate together?
Yeah, I was really surprised. 3 of our members that have dedicated space actually were in the process of considering what would it look like to do a project together. They were talking about sharing clients, doing a joint presentation to a future client on the West Coast. And I think that's really exciting. It's something we would have never guessed, but it happens organically. We watch an author start to work with a technologist, or we watch a larger organization come into the space and be like, wow, I could partner with this smaller organization. So it's kind of like a heartbeat. It's an in and an out, an in and an out.
And I've seen that across the country, actually. The co-working spaces that thrive are the ones that have this kind of energy about, like you said, there's no judgment, no whatever, and they come in and they're not afraid to, if there's a conversation that starts that says, hey, I could write that for you, or hey, I could code that for you, or whatever. Even though they're up to their eyeballs in work already, they seem to want to do this collaboration all the time.
Yeah, we were in a situation with our TEDx Fargo website, and there was just a limitation. And one of the teammates at Hash Annie pulled him aside and said, hey, can you help? And he just took a few hours. He just solved the problem. He just did it because he wanted to help.
Sure.
We see that happen time and time again. I dropped my computer, and I was pretty nervous. The screen shattered. But one of the teammates at Hash, who's a really, really great technologist, said, hey, let me look at it. He sorted out the problem, sent it into Apple with his encouragement. 3 days later, got my computer back. And then there's also romance. One of the things that's not as discussed in co-working space is romance, which does happen. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it makes a little bit of drama for all of us.
Sure. Very interesting, actually. So let's talk a little bit about the companies. No. I know we already got our little thing going already. That'd be you and McGill over here, by the way. So all kinds of comments. By the way, we're streaming live on Facebook. So if you want to hop on the Facebook and see what these cats look like, please. Yeah, that's an old reference, by the way, Greg. You wouldn't know what that means. So, but hop on there and take a gander what the studio looks like here. So, so tell us a little bit about some of the companies that you see emerging, and maybe more in that aerospace drone focus. Well, that could be a great name for a conference.
Yeah,
drone
focus. I like it. I should get a trademark.
Yeah.
So let's there's some smaller ones. I think about Joey. Joey Schmidt was a teacher, but he loved frisbee golf.
Okay.
Loved it. So he was a professional or semi-pro frisbee golf player. I think he got paid at least $1. He was a real enthusiast, and he started to think, wow, I bet drones could help me map out courses.
Oh,
and he started exploring it, and now he's got a little company called Flight Pros. And he's evolved into precision agriculture and a wide variety of things. What's interesting about Fargo is the whole ecosystem, right? So we have the Fargo Jet Center that trains pilots. Well, now to fly drones commercially, you have to have a pilot that is flying them. So that's part of it. We got bigger organizations like Apario that are doing deep technology as they're getting machines to communicate with data. And so there's big, there's small. We're watching organizations like KLJ or Mortensen Construction, right? Construction organizations paying attention. More engineering using the technology to maybe offset a human labor responsibility to go and check their projects all throughout the state. One of the things that I think makes Fargo really exciting when it comes to the drone technology is the intersection of the end user and the technologist. Organizations such as Xcel Energy are partnering with Grand Forks startup Skyscopes, and they're doing work together in Mayville. And so I think that's what's really exciting is the end user is sitting next to the technologist or the entrepreneur, and they're solving problems together.
Interesting. So you've had some great success with some conferences and things as well. You know, TEDx. In fact, just talk about TEDx and the growth of it over in Fargo.
TEDx Fargo, we started in 2012 in a humble beginnings. There was 100 of us at the first event. We've grown. We brought in world-class speakers like yourself. In the last 2 years, we've had 1,800 people each year attend TEDx Fargo. There's growing energy, and TEDx Fargo is known as one of the best TEDx events in the United States.
So how does that compare audience-wise to other TEDx's across the country?
I was in Brookings, South Dakota at TEDx Brookings on Saturday. They had 140 people there. It was still special. I don't think size always dictates impact, but I think a large conference built with world-class content can move the needle.
Interesting. And then, of course, probably my favorite conference that you put together, and you do a lot of great jobs with, or great things over there, Greg, but Drone Focus. I love what you have done with that conference.
Yeah, we're so grateful for how that's played out. Our first year, we had 140 people. Last year, we had 330 people. And this year, our goal at Drone Focus at the end of May is to hit 800 folks. We've got mountain drones coming in from Telluride. They're coming in, and this is a drone technology company that helps ski resorts increase avalanches at a certain timing. We got women in drones out of Chicago coming in to do a panel to celebrate all the women that are building world-class technology. We were working with U.S. Senator John Hoeven to help us get our main speaker lined up. And we got 2 ideas right now. We're hoping for Elon Musk. And if Elon says no, we're going for Jeff Bezos. So
cool.
We think 1 or 2 could be fantastic. And there's a lot of energy around it.
So, and I know you and I have had a lot of conversations on this, but you're also going to be incorporating... You can make the announcement. That's cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Drone Focus announcement?
Yes.
Well, okay. So our good friends at National Day Calendar are interested in creating National Autonomous Vehicle Day. So we are excited about that as we look at the ability for drones that fly above the sky and then vehicles that can drive themselves. And we're going to have that announcement, and we got some fun things up our sleeve for that. We're going to have a drone film festival. We're going to have our 2nd annual student pitch contest, and we're actually getting a bunch of venture capitalists together that are going to start investing in new companies.
So the reason I want to bring this stuff up is because people who are interested in this industry probably need to attend Drone Focused May 31st, June 1st, right?
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. There's going to be interactive workshops. There's going to be speakers from all over the country. And it's a place for enthusiasts to come, for folks to just talk about how they fly their drone, how they're using it. It's getting to be a national celebration. And
we're going to be partnering, or you're going to be partnering with ground-based vehicles, and that's the big thing here. You know, how do we marry the 2 technologies so that we can actually create another whole new industry in North Dakota based on ground systems as well?
Yeah, I think, Marlo, your catalytic approach to that, working with U.S. Senator Hoeven, with Jake Jornsen at Myriad Mobile, just that celebration of possibility, I think, is people turning people's heads. I was flying out to Milwaukee earlier on Wednesday, and I sat next to an MIT grad that does work in hardware, and I shared this approach that we were thinking about in our community. He's like, wow, I want to get involved. And he's a specialist working in hardware technology for trucking companies.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting development. And Katie, Miss Metaverse, will be coming on, and we're going to be talking about how do you marry the UGS industry, the unmanned ground systems industry, to the drone industry. So after the break, everybody, we will be back with Miss Metaverse and Greg Tehvan. So see you then.
Right now, 63.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. Super Talk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So we've been talking about how Fargo is the Silicon Plains of the Midwest. A lot of it has to do with the gentleman just sitting next to me here, Mr. Greg Tehvan, co-founder of Emergent Prairie. And, of course, we have the UAV industry over there, which kind of drives that technology, that industry as well over that way. Joining us is Miss Metaverse, Katie. How you doing?
Hello. I'm back. I'm doing well. Back. How are you doing, Marlo?
Doing fine, too. We're so excited to have you back. And sitting next to me is Greg Tehvan, by the way. He's the co-founder of Emergent Prairie and kind of the man behind the driving force, you could say, in the energy in Fargo right now, Fargo, North Dakota. And, of course, that is the hotbed for drone activity in the country. And I thought it would be kind of interesting to get your take on the marriage of UGS, or unmanned ground systems, with the drone industry. So we'll just start right there.
Well, yes, what's happening now is that we're seeing it kind of become one, whereas in the beginning it seemed to be like drones were more aerial systems, more based in surveillance and things like that. And then on the other hand, we had the ground systems, which would be considered everything from on-the-ground vehicles, autonomous vehicles, and also robots, robotics as well. But now it is kind of becoming one. We're seeing even drones, become smarter, merged with artificial intelligence, and I think that in the very near future, we're going to see more systems that could do both, kind of be able to do air and land. So that's going to be very exciting to see.
And I know that, when we talk about UGS, unmanned ground systems, I want to keep repeating that so people get used to hearing that. We're not just talking about autonomous vehicles that drive down the road, trucking. I mean, we're talking about anything that's basically on the ground. So certainly can be on the farm. Just over the weekend, I forget the name of the company, they are testing a robot that will actually go around shopping malls and other secure areas. And the robot is actually a security device to pick up on whether or not a car's been parked there too long or what have you. And they're actually partnering with another company now to nest a drone with this as well, so that if they see somebody that they're suspicious of or whatever, if there's some type of activity, the drone will actually take off from the robot and follow that person. So those are the type of things that we're talking about as far as marrying technology. So Greg, back to you now. Do you have anybody in Fargo that you're aware of that's working on the marriage of drone and UGS?
Well, I know there's a groundswell of people that are becoming advocates for the possibility. I don't know any personal companies personally that are doing that, but when I see certain people hanging out, it leads me to wonder, what exactly are they working on? There's some key organizations that I should probably not name that have had some meetings recently, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So it's unclear, and part of the world of technology is that not everyone will tell you what they're working on. And there's a fair amount of organizations in our community that are doing work all over the world that aren't always clear, because I believe there's a first move advantage, and I think someone's going to get it. I hope they live in our region, but someone's going to make that play, and so it'll be interesting to see who jumps out in front, takes the risk, and this might be an industry or an area that's going to take a while to develop.
So let's talk about maybe some of the companies that are in the drone industry right now coming out of Fargo. So just drop a few names and what they do.
Well, so there's Botlink that's working on a software platform. We have Apario Systems that I'm not completely clear what they're doing, but I'm sure they're active.
They're dabbling, yes.
And then I see organizations like John Deere Electrical Solutions that have kind of been curious. I think about organizations like Mortensen Construction, KLJ that are getting involved. And then there's photographers like John Borgie, who's an incredible photographer in our community that I see him taking a fair amount of photos. I see organizations like Peterson Farm Seed that's helping their customers utilize drones within their farms. And so it's still unclear who's all involved, but I know a lot of people are showing up. There's Centera out of the Twin Cities that has staff in Fargo-Moorhead. There's Microsoft that has Azure, a platform that can take all that data and turn it into information. So when I think about the ecosystem, I think there's a lot of players. When I think about companies that are primarily dedicated, it's a smaller amount. And we might have more users of the technology than we have technologists currently. But I think those are the ones that have revealed themselves.
So, Katie, let's move over to the type of ideas that maybe you've been exposed to, or maybe some ideas that you have as far as the marrying of the two technologies. I mean, how do you see that moving forward in the future?
Well, I think that what's going to happen is, the two will kind of combine in a certain kind of ways. It's hard to say how they'll combine in the military complex versus also in our commercial use or even personal use. But in terms of the military side of these things, I do see that these types of robots will be able to do both. So they could, for instance, be able to scan an environment and record what is going on there, be able to assess the type of things seen by those cameras and the surveillance, and be able to take off and fly and see from above as well. Also another way of looking at it too is that these two will be working together. So, there will be new types of systems where these ground robots would be able to, let's say, eject or use another drone overhead, and the two working together would be stepping up the ability of overseeing a particular area in ways that aren't being done now. Working in unison. Also, to take it a step further would be to say, swarms of robots, like we're seeing come up in the news recently, how people are talking about how these robot swarms can work together. Well, that could also be part of the convergence of these two, where you have these swarms of drones ahead that also have a swarm on the ground. It's pretty wild to think about, but it is being talked about.
Well, I think about the ability to fight a fire, for example, and you put people in harm's way all the time when you're doing this. So you can throw a drone, UGS at it, a robot, a combination of the three to go in and fight these fires. And I think about when you go fight a fire, for example, you have a company like eHang who is developing a drone that people can fly in, or they sit in it and it just takes you from point A to point B. You have that nested on some type of autonomous truck or whatever. So you deploy a firefighter above the fire to see what's going on, maybe even fight the fire from above in this basically a drone that flies a human being around. So there's all kinds of possibilities. Greg, you look like you have something to say. So
well, I just think about what they've done in Australia, right? A massive country, and to move raw materials across the country, they use this concept called platooning, where the front vehicle has a human in it, and then there's a series of trucks that are all linked together, and there's only two drivers, the first truck and the second truck sleeping, and then when the driver runs out of time, they just switch. And I just wonder what will happen when we don't have to actually have the humans there, and it could just be one person, and that gets me really excited. Whether it's in a blizzard, whether it's search and rescue, we're seeing startups happen in search and rescue with this technology. It makes me believe this technology is going to improve the human condition.
I mean, you could make the argument. So there's we just talked about this morning when I was guest lecturing at the University of Mary in Bismarck, and we were talking about this, and I asked the students, how many of you are going to be truck drivers? How many do you think raised their hands?
0.
Yes, that's exactly right. So then I asked them, you don't aspire to, being away from home every day, eating truck stop food, all this other stuff. Of course, none of them are excited about any of this, but yet they still want the goods that trucks deliver. We have a shortage of 40,000 truck drivers in this country right now, and 3,700 of them a year die on our roads. So you could actually say that because of the safety considerations of trucking, that they have actually created their own shortfall because it's not safe to drive truck. So autonomous vehicles, of course, will alleviate that, I'm hoping, and increase the amount of goods that we can move along our roads, plus bring those costs down a little bit. So I think there's all kinds of advantages to it. So Australia is actually platooning right now.
Yeah, that's what I've just been learning about, and it feels like it's long haul trucking. It's less humans needed, but it's solving a problem, and it's probably more affordable, both for the company sending the cargo across and the end user.
Absolutely it is. So, in fact, that's the reason that they do it, is because just like drafting when you're racing, I think it's called drafting, right? When they follow the other vehicle. So yeah, we should have Jake Jornstedt on. He'd answer that question right now. But yeah, that actually allows the trucks to use less fuel. Mm-hmm. So we're being more environmentally friendly as well. So there's all kinds of advantages to this. So, all right, everybody, after the break, we will continue this conversation. I believe Greg has to leave.
I got to go, but thanks for having me today. We would look forward to seeing you all in Fargo.
Yeah, head on over there sometime. Check out. So can people go right to the Prairie Den and just check it out?
Yeah, just stop in. Annie runs the place. She's awesome. Ask for Annie. Come to the Prairie Den, 122.5 Broadway, downtown Fargo.
All right, go do that, everybody.
Right now, 65.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And welcome back, everybody, to the final segment of today's show.
Hey.
How's it going over there, Jim?
Not bad. The coffee's starting to kick in. I'm starting to wake up. What am I doing here?
I'm not sure, actually, but yes. So we lost our guests.
Oh.
I mean, our in-studio
Well, they had
guests.
to go home.
Yes,
There
right.
you go.
Well, yeah, they're from Fargo, so they have other things to do today.
They have a nice long trip ahead of them.
Yes, they do. So, but of course, we have Miss Metaverse. Katie is on the line. So, talking a little bit about drones.
From Long Island, New York. She's a New Yorker.
Long Island.
Long Island.
So we're just talking about the marriage of technologies between drones and unmanned ground systems. So do you have other examples, maybe, Katie, of how maybe this industry will move forward? How do we marry these two technologies?
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of ways. I liked your idea of firefighters using, a combination of these technologies. I think that's a great example. But also farming. Farming is starting to, blend in with drones and these autonomous vehicles. I know I just saw one recently. There was like a new autonomous tractor, and they drive it around in swarms. So they have that kind of swarm technology, which is really funny because we were talking about that before. But other ways that these two will be working hand in hand, a more relatable way would be, let's say, even personal drones like the ones we're seeing now. Like the newest ones are the Lily camera, like those ones that you can wear, the wearable drones where, it goes from being kind of like a watch or like a wearable on your wrist, and then you're able to throw it in the air, and then it becomes your personal autonomous flying drone that follows you around and takes pictures.
That's the craziest technology. I think that's pretty cool, actually.
Absolutely. It's like we're living in the future.
Yep.
And I think that what we'll be seeing is new types of aircrafts and things that will be a combination of both, where they could be an autonomous car on the land, but then also turn into a flying drone as well. And we're just seeing the beginning of that. There's a lot of viral videos online right now of people creating their own takes of drones of the future that do things like that. So I'm definitely excited to see where it goes.
So have you watched a few of these videos?
Yeah, I did. There was something the other day, I forget what it was. It reminded me of that E-Hang personal drone that you talked about before that they made in China, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's actually being tested.
Drone.
It is actually being tested in the United States, though.
Yes. Was it? I think it was in Vegas.
That's correct.
When you were there, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. So
awesome.
But yeah, some of these homemade ones are kind of funny. I was watching one the other day that they were going over a lake. As a matter of fact, it worked pretty well. I was kind of surprised, actually. This person kind of standing on this platform of, I don't know what he had, 8 drones or whatever that were up there, and it was actually lifting him off the ground, and he was maneuvering it across this lake. Just cool stuff. So.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Like drone surfing, I saw that one. Yes, it was awesome. Super cool.
Well, and of course, we're bringing you back here for drone skiing this winter.
Yeah,
have you seen this where you're actually on a set of skis, or you could do this with a toboggan too, and instead of going down a hill, you have the drone in front of you pulling you along over the snow. I think that's kind of funny.
That is so cool.
So
I love it.
You're going to start seeing actually things like this emerge because of this technology, whether it's for fun or for work or whatever. So.
Yeah, definitely. And there's also, the hover bike. Have you heard about hover bikes yet?
I haven't.
It reminds me of like something you'd see out of Star Wars, because they look like kind of like an upside down drone, but you're sitting on top of it and you ride it like almost like you're riding a horse or something.
Right.
And there's videos of that online as well. It's called a hover bike. It's made by, I think, Malloy Aeronautics, I believe. I know I was reading about it before. And, it's still very much in the beginnings of it. It's more of like a concept for now. It's kind of considered like a quadcopter because of the way it is. It is a quadcopter. But, as far as being a drone as well in the future, I think that we'll be seeing all kinds of different types of aerial vehicles for personal use like this, where it looks a little bit weird now, but I think in the near future they're just going to get better, and you're not going to see the blades out, and they'll have multiple functions.
Well, I think I think this whole drive towards autonomous vehicles, drones, all this stuff, it's going to open up a whole new world of choices for travel. That's what I actually think we're going to get to here. You know, whether you're going to, you know, go by ground, go by air, you know, you may be a commuter that only travels 3 or 4 miles a day, but you have to go through crazy amount of traffic to go from from your home to your work, right? Takes you a half hour, 45 minutes. Where if you could use an e-hang, for example, you could go 300 feet above it, fly over to work, drop yourself back down, you're there in 5 minutes. You know, so I think those kind of choices are going to become more prevalent as we move forward. So, you know, you need to be thinking, and they're talking e-hang. The last time I looked at this, it was $15,000 is their target price for this. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
Cheaper than a car, and you can fly yourself around town. I mean, that's pretty cool when you think about it.
Very cool. Yes, definitely. The only thing that right now is still in the beginning is the whole flight time thing, you know, because a lot of, I don't know what the e-hang's flight time is.
About 20 minutes.
Do you happen to know?
20 minutes.
It's 20 minutes?
Right.
Yeah, so I think that once we get to this point where, you know, whatever kind of, you know, ways they end up figuring this out to make them last longer, you know, I think that it's definitely going to be the preferred way to travel, because look at how crowded the roads are. I mean, I'm not sure about you guys over there, but I know here on Long Island that we've always had, you know, terrible traffic at certain times of the day, but now it's just, it doesn't matter what time it is, you can get caught in crazy traffic because there's just so many people and so many cars.
Right.
So I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you know, the choices that, you know, you think about, you know, you're talking about all these cars that are on the road and whatever right now. Imagine, even if you didn't have like an e-hang, if you just had a drone that could go over to your superstore and pick up your milk and bread and bring it back to you. That's just one less car trip that you have to do. And you multiply that times millions of people, and it just means that there's less people on the roads, which makes our roads better to drive as we move forward as well.
Yes, that's another way of looking at it, too, because, you know, in the beginning around, was it 2013, 2014, when everybody was all super excited because drones were still really new, and Amazon was talking about having their drone delivery system, Amazon Air. And it seems like since then, you know, legislation was an issue, and then there's been a couple setbacks. But I have to say now, it seems like so many people have taken it upon themselves to get in and learn how to build their own drones. I think that we're going to have so many people with their own drones that it's like owning your own car, you know, or maybe you could even like rent an Uber drone in the future, where you could have this drone go out, either your own personal drone or the rented drone, go out and get you what you need while you get to stay home. And yes, it'll definitely cut down on car emissions. You won't even need a car, really, because of drones in the near future.
I never even thought about the Uber renting a drone. That is actually a great idea. It really is. Is that something that they're thinking about, or did you just come up with that right now?
I just came up with that. To be honest with you, Marlo, one of my biggest dreams, something I've wanted to do since I was a little girl, was to open up a store, like a funky kind of store dedicated to the future, but making it part like lab, like educational center, and also, you know, and offering rentals, things like this, where you can come in and rent Oculus Rift or rent a drone for the day. Because right now, not everyone has, you know, $999 to get the new DJI Maverick drone. Sure. You know, it's hard. It's hard, but people want to still experience it and, you know, take their kids out and do things and learn about this stuff. So I think having places like this that will allow families and you know, kids and everybody to come in and have access to this technology will be key to also building a better country, I think, in general.
Sure. Jim, you got a comment?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I'm just thinking what a great idea that is.
I think so, too.
A store of the future.
I just think
the future market.
That's a good idea. That's a good name for the store.
Hey, marketing is my thing. I'm a marketing guy.
Yeah, you two need to collaborate here, I think, a little bit and come up with the store of the future. Yeah, no pun intended there. So, yeah, no, that's fantastic, and I agree. I love the renting a drone. That is fantastic.
Rent a drone.
Yeah, there you go.
Ladies, rent a drone.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess we're at that time. Katie, a pleasure as always.
Thank you.
So glad to have you on the show again. Jim, until next week, I guess.
Likewise, I'm sure.
All right, and everybody, enjoy your week.